Hey.
We are wrapping up our very first month of society, and we are here gathered together today in Jen's lovely home that Ashley and I have decided we're never leaving. We're moving in.
Good.
New house sitters. But we are calling this little get together that we are going to have on the monthly. We are calling it lip service because we think that's funny and that's pretty accurate. But we wanted to come together and really tie up the month that we've had in society. This is our first month, and I want you guys to speak into it. But for me personally, it has been above and beyond anything I could have imagined. It's such a heart project for me, and you know, most people don't know this because they think I'm just sarcastic and just a butthole all the time. But the truth is, I'm not. I'm a 2, y'all. Come on. I'm a 2 on the Enneagram. I'm a helper. And it really is a heart thing for me to have started this group. And I thought literally we were going to be at 500 gals. And the truth is, whether it's 50 or 50,000, I don't care. I just know that these are topics that we need to cover, that women need to discuss, and we need to do it as a unified group, as a sisterhood. Mm-hmm. So for me personally, it has far exceeded my expectations as far as women being touched and feeling heard. And what do you girls, how are y'all feeling about it?
I'm so excited, period. And to be a part of it is amazing. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's just become so apparent how relevant everything we're talking about is, mm-hmm. how much women want to talk about every issue, topic under the sun, and the fact that you're giving them a platform to do that is pretty amazing. And it's so much fun.
It is a lot of
it's
fun.
It's just so much fun right now.
Jen, you're kind of new to socials too, so what do you think?
I'm really new to social media in general. I mean, I have an Instagram account, but
this is different.
Way different. It's kind of still surreal. But it's been so fun to be able to, expand what I teach just, professionally, but also what I've learned personally and know that it's getting out there to so many people and it's starting conversations, which is what I think is the coolest thing. Right.
Right.
And to see the women talking to each other even and giving support to each other. That's just been it gives me chills all over, you know, and to be able to be a part of it, it's just been so great, Heather.
I know. I love it. I think one thing that I've noticed just kind of across the board is women are really opening up, mm-hmm. and they're even saying things like, I've never said that out loud before. They're writing it in the comments, and even just vocalizing what they're going through is such therapy. I know that in my own counseling, my counselor has told me, write this down, write this letter to your mom, mm-hmm. or write down your thoughts. And there is therapy in just getting it out, being able to vocalize it on paper or even in your head, So I'm seeing the benefits for these gals already.
And all the vulnerability, I think, is so important. It just shows how much mm-hmm. we crave connection and mm-hmm. crave to be able to relate to somebody else going through maybe the same, even if it's not the same situation, mm-hmm. the same life stage, mm-hmm. whether it's marriage, divorce, parents, co-parenting, exes, all those things are so important that we don't really talk about, I don't feel like, in our normal
especially
day-to-day
in
lives.
This culture that we're in right now.
Right.
Post-pandemic and isolation. And, I think people are craving connection more than anything.
Well, and just realness, because I look at Facebook, and everybody knows this, everything on Facebook looks so perfect.
Yeah.
Everybody's life looks so put together. Their kids are always, magazine model looks. Mm-hmm. And I think it's nice for all these women to see that everybody is in the same, place. Mm-hmm. We're all just wanting to be real and open up and, like you just said, start conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Even I've noticed you two, getting vulnerable yourselves, and I feel like, the three of us all have different personalities, but the truth is we all have regular issues mm-hmm. like everybody else. And if it takes us paving the way, I'm happy to do that. I mm-hmm. think I have some weird tick where some like Tourette's, where I can't not tell the truth. I have this like thing in me, like if somebody says, "Oh, I love your hair," I'm like, "Thanks, they're extensions." I love your outfit. Thanks, I got it at Goodwill. I can't.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I wish I could put a cap on it.
The
sometimes.
oversharing,
And
like
the oversharing,
I think that's so true. Like the vulnerability you notice, I
Right.
think is just maybe again trying to find connection, but it's also like I don't care if anyone knows everything about me anymore.
some of that comes with age, don't you
That's
think?
exactly
We're
what I
all
was
the
about to
same
say.
age, you know.
Yes, but I can also say growing up in a family of addiction, there was no privacy. And so I had to share all of it. There wasn't a sense of like, I'm going to hold back,
Right.
So if you ask me how I was, like, I have to tell you how I am, instead of like an appropriate amount of,
Or I don't
thanks
feel
so
like
much for
talking about
my
that right
hair.
now.
I just got it done.
Right.
Instead of, oh, thanks so much. They're extensions. It cost me this much money. And and you should go to this person. It's great,
That's
Yeah.
exactly yes.
Yeah.
You got to read the room, right? You got to know how much to share.
Reading the
and-
room.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. But I do feel that by us getting our stories out there, getting our putting our little vulnerability cap on, if you will, it really is therapeutic. And I've watched week after week as we, we've only been we're 4 weeks in, right? Or 3. We've thrown some topics out and see what sticks to the wall, and things are sticking. So
They're
much
all
so-
sticking.
they're all sticking because we're all facing something or, one thing or another at some point. But, I think definitely I'm noticing we definitely want to take like a topic at a time. That's kind of been our strategy. But the truth is we're definitely going to have to revisit a lot of topics and spend longer on certain things and figure out the strategy of how to do that. But we're committed to doing that. Like that's what we're here for. I would like to kind of start by talking about each of these topics and kind of what we've seen in society as we've kind of broken them down. The first week we were just trying to get our sea legs and figure out what this needed to look like. And I kind of threw out my little
Your little
bit of information.
your little ditty.
Well, that
that's
was
just my little ditty.
your vulnerability.
Yeah, you
Yes.
started the whole
You
thing,
set the
Heather.
stage.
Yep.
Yeah, I
you
kind
set
of
the
went
stage.
all in on that one. Went for the jugular. But I just felt like it was important if I'm going to ask all these women to be vulnerable, well, I got to do the same thing.
Right.
So true.
It was hard for me to write, though, if you want to know the truth, because, I said it in the blog entry. For those of you who don't know this, I wrote a story to start us off about my life in addiction. My mom struggles with addiction, and I really had a hard time writing it because even though it was all true, I don't want to shame my family. I'm tender hearted, but I've also been raised in a culture that was like, oh no, you can't shame, you can't bring it to light, you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of living that way because I am here to use my story, the same as you girls are, to help women be free and get free. And so that's why I felt like it was important. And I felt like it resonated with a lot of women, don't y'all?
Yeah, because in reality, you're telling the story of your childhood, and even though you're telling this parts of the story of your mom's addiction, it's still your story. It's
Right.
your childhood, your adolescence, your adulthood, and how you dealt with and how your family did. It's not just
And it's
somebody
the
else's.
end, right? It's the
Right.
It's the my parents maybe did the best they could with what they had, and it wasn't enough.
Right.
And giving yourself permission.
That's been
it's
a big thing for me, giving myself permission to acknowledge my story.
Right.
It's very scary, but it is my story, right? And
You were affected by what was happening. You have your own perspective. We all do, right?
we all do.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, I just think that if the three of us, and this extends to all you gals out there, if we can all get to a space where, in the right time and in the right way, we're able to share our stories, whatever those stories look like, we are creating a space for other women to do the same thing. And that is the goal. That is the goal, to empower each other, to stand together, judgment free, lift each other up, hold each other up, and help each other get pointed in the right direction. If you need, counseling, we want to get you to counseling, or at least get your eyes open and your heart moving in that direction. If you need to leave a toxic relationship, we want to be here for that. And so that's kind of the point, and that's why I threw that subject out there the very first week, and it did get a lot of people talking. Then the second week we moved into self-care.
Self-care. I do want to add though, it's not even about, us providing a forum of telling you what to do, or like it's really about sharing our stories,
right?
And that's what women connect to. That's what we're naturally storytellers, women in general, right?
Yeah,
we're talkers. And so I think the connection and the I'm not going to say advice, but the learning, I've done my most learning from hearing other people's story that I can relate to. Somebody that's gone a little bit ahead of me and has worked through it a little bit faster than I have. That's where I've done the most growth. It's not sitting in somebody's office with them telling me what to do.
Wow.
And so I think that's more of the forum that we're going for, is like, here's information. Here's what women have learned. Here's what my experience has been.
Take from it what you will.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important, because us being vulnerable and sharing our experiences gives permission to other people to do the same.
Absolutely.
And then when they see comments of other people they can relate to, because I know just from my experience, I had years where I felt shame about every part of my life and was made to feel like I shouldn't talk about it. And so me kind of taking that power back in my 40s, thank you 40s for that permission,
right?
That's when you're able to say, you know what? I don't care if someone doesn't like what I say about a situation, not putting anybody down, but just saying like, this is my truth. This is me, and take it or don't.
Well, on that note, we haven't talked about this, but I'm curious to know what y'all think. I've seen a lot of women on here, and actually I think you've experienced this, Jen, maybe you have too, but I've had some private messages where people have said, I can't comment because people in my hometown are on here, or I can't tell my story because, my sister's on here, she doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. What are y'all's thoughts on, I think there's some small town stuff going on, within society, where there's just maybe people on there that you don't want to hear your story. Well, what do y'all say about that?
Or just scared to put it out there. Even if it's not somebody that is scared to put it on your society page because of somebody they know reading it. It's just somebody reading it. Or because I've had that experience before in speaking to treatment centers, before COVID, going around speaking about my experiences and my story. And when someone tells me like, I appreciate that so much, or that really helped me, or I could relate, it's almost like, wait, what? Okay. Oh, that, like, my story helped you? Okay. And I feel like this is what the society is going to do as well.
Do you feel like, is there a word of advice? Maybe that's not the right word, but just, I don't know. Is there, I know there's no right or wrong. If people don't feel like sharing, they don't have to, but I do hope that along the way, maybe my hope is misguided. Y'all can kind of help me, but I do hope that these women will get to a point where, they're like, oh, well, if so-and-so sees it, I still want to share. But is that maybe, I don't know, Jen, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, I think my first instinct is like, good for you. You're respecting your gut. Right. You're respecting your boundaries. If you don't feel like this is a safe place for you to share because of those dynamics, then only share what you feel like you can.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm proud of them for that. I don't think that, this may be the forum for everybody to share from a really deep level. But that doesn't mean they can't share.
Right.
That
And it
doesn't
doesn't
mean
mean
they
they're
can't get
not-
vulnerable.
Well,
Or
and it
learn.
doesn't mean that they're not getting something out of it.
That's right.
Because
That's
I
right.
had that comment a couple of times. Like, well, I know I don't comment or like anything, but I'm reading it.
Yes, I've
Well,
heard that
and
too.
you know, it's not always safe. You know, there's whole lives built around anonymity in recovery, and
True.
you know, there could be abusive relationships going on. There could be,
Right.
you know, divorce disputes over children. There could be a lot of different things that it really wouldn't be safe.
Yeah.
You know, but on the other hand, and I'm going to push that I also think what Ashley was saying is right. You know, maybe it can act as a forum for you to say, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, this is my truth and I'm going to stand in it and I'm
Yeah.
not going to be ashamed of it.
Right.
I love it. You girls really keep me on the straight and narrow because y'all know I've done like a lot of work. And so I'm just like, I feel like I'm carrying this big torch and I'm like, everybody should have this experience. Everyone
I
should
agree with
say
that.
their story.
Right.
But that is just not truth for everybody. Everybody is different. And I need to probably slow my roll just a pinch. But I just get excited, y'all. I just get real excited.
We can
And
tell.
I've been, once again, excited by, what I'm seeing on society. Moving into self-care, I think that overall, this is a huge topic. And I think that's why we chose to kind of bring it out early because, you go from topics like divorce and bitterness and friendships and all this, but there is such a correlation to all of us really needing to take care of our own hearts, minds, and bodies so that we can deal with all these issues that are plaguing us. What I learned most myself during our self-care chat was that self-care, I was kind of asking some people in my circle on a certain day, like, what do you do for self-care? Do you take a bubble bath? Do you go for a run? And I really started seeing like, oh yeah, self-care is so much more than that. It maybe
Right.
is. Yeah. I mean, like, can we talk about that? What all does that look like? Like, what does self-care look like?
Yeah, for me, self-care has been like pivotal in my recovery journey because without me having a sense of connection to what I need and what is going on for me in any given moment, how am I going to navigate all this stuff out there that's happening?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not going to happen. And that's what was happening. My life was like chaotic mess because I was not in touch with at all what I needed or, where I was even in any given moment. I was just deny. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, has it been a big process in y'all's journey too?
Ash?
Self-care?
Yeah.
And what I've realized is that even though I do love a nightly bubble bath,
Yeah. me too.
self-care to me
too.
is saying no to things.
Ooh,
Yeah.
preach.
Do you have any plans this weekend? I don't know. Why are you asking me? But the answer is nope. And when we grew up in a society where that was lazy, if you didn't do anything in my family, love you, but it's lazy. You were lazy. And like, even now I'll have to check myself, and be like, I don't have any plans, but to binge watch a series today. And that's okay. Like, I don't have to do anything.
That's so
to
interesting that you felt late, like that the lazy word was put on you. To me, I don't feel lazy if I say no. I feel guilty, like I'm being mean.
Well, that's two different things. The saying no, I grew up with, you don't say no, you do, you're people pleasers.
Right.
Number two. And, but I don't feel guilty anymore about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because you've done work.
Right.
I don't feel as guilty as I did. And maybe that's a form of self-care, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. Just being strong enough to say, yeah, I don't think I'm coming to your thing. I don't think I'm going to do that this week.
And you know
And
what?
it's
This is
not
what I've
strength.
learned. Most people don't care.
That's so true.
Really? Because
Really?
in my mind, I'm like, they're talking about me.
most
They hate
people
me.
But you know
really
what?
don't care.
That's a huge recovery
Interesting.
thing.
It is.
That they aren't
They're
thinking
not
about
thinking
you.
about you.
Ain't nobody looking at you at that
Or they
table
might
or
for
whatever.
a second, but then they're going to look at somebody else too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
On that note, I want to just kind of take a beat. I know we're kind of on a trajectory here, and we're trying to not, make this too long. But I do want you each, if you don't mind, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but like they already know who I am. I spilled all the guts in my very first, story, and I've also been kind of in their faces for a few years. But could each of you just kind of give an overview of your story, and you don't, go as deep as you want, but I want to hear from each of you so these girls know who they're talking to. And let me say before you get started that, when I started this group, I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't really, by the way. I know what's in my heart, but I just thought this is what I want to do. And these two gals who are good friends of mine that are, in my life came on board and said, you know what? I just feel like I'm supposed to help you. Like this is a heart project for me too. And I want to see women get well. And so that's why the three of us are sitting here together. But yeah, what is your story, Jen? What's your story, Ashley? Like, tell us. Give us some background.
You want to take
me to go
that
first?
lead? Yeah.
Jen wants time to think about hers.
I do
first.
love talking about myself. So
we know.
No, my story is not unlike anybody else's. I had a very good childhood in small town Tennessee with this one. And I didn't have big traumas. I didn't have anything bad. It was a good childhood. Two great, amazing parents that one, my mom is still with us. My dad is not, but an amazing big brother.
Cute one too.
Adam, the cutest,
cute,
handsome man.
Hadn't seen him in a while, but
he's still cute. Very normal childhood. But I never, and I'll say this into adolescence, early adulthood, I never felt like I was comfortable in my skin. I never felt like I fit in anywhere. We were just having that conversation about the group you were in childhood. I never felt like I fit into that group. I never felt like I was just floating through life. I was never making like decisions. And then, in grad school,
what's that?
Sorry, what we're doing right here.
Right. This is my education.
Right. I've learned more outside of grad school than in. Met somebody, got married, had a daughter, all these things, life things that are expected of you. And they never felt right. Not the daughter part, but the
progression of marriage.
The adulthood. My life was not turning out like maybe I thought it was, and I don't even know what that was going to be. But it was like, okay, I'm getting married. Okay, I'll get married. Nothing crazy. And then when I was unhappy and lost in my own personal life and marriage, drinking was my coping skill. Because some of the things I'd been through, like childbirth, and then after childbirth, postpartum, all those things were so traumatic, and nobody I knew could relate or didn't speak up and say they could relate. That's, I think, one reason I'm so vulnerable and just spill it. I'm going to tell you everything because nobody did that with me. And I don't want people to feel that same disconnection. And drinking was out of control. And, for a 2 or 3 years in and out of rehab, finally got sober, and it's just been like a rebuilding period. I'm still there, but man, it's been 4 years, and I feel like I'm finally who I want to be. And she's pretty badass.
I like her.
I like her too.
I like her better than the high school version.
Well, she was like, she didn't know who she was either,
No.
And so
None
I
of us
think
did.
that rebuilding a career, rebuilding just a life after, a huge chaotic one that almost destroyed me and people I love. It's been amazing to do so much hard work, but be able to help other people too. that's why I love giving back in recovery. I love this kind of stuff, just to be able to help other people communicate, help other people know that they're not alone. I think that's one of my purposes in life.
Yeah. I think that at some point, I think it will unfold in time, but I'm really looking forward to just these women getting to know you on another level and hearing more about your story of because Ashley didn't tell you this, but the truth is she has fought and kicked and screamed and, clawed her way out of a hole. And, even with people really trying to keep her head underwater, and she's fought back, and it's just been really inspiring to watch. And so I think along the way you'll be able to share more, as the years go by, because we in it for the long haul. We ain't going anywhere. But I'm glad to have you here, and I think you are, man, such a beautiful addition for these ladies. You're
very
so
happy to be here,
Jennifer. I think that's the first time I ever called you Jennifer.
Am I in trouble?
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. What's the question? What's my story?
Tell us about yourself.
Tell us your story.
Oh, Lord.
In 2 minutes or less.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, I grew up.
Jen, you've had 10 minutes to think.
I know. Okay.
Well, she was enthralled with our story.
Hanging on Ashley's every word.
Yeah. I came out of the womb a bit of a spitfire. My parents were divorced early when I was around 4, so I was the only child in that, but there's been a lot of blended families since, so I've had to acquiesce to do the different roles. My mom struggled with addiction and some mental illness, and so I quickly grew up, probably way quicker than was healthy for any kid, always wanted a sense of belonging, always was searching for that. And, I too felt like, because I was comfortable in the addiction world, those were my friends. I mean, I was drawn to people from broken homes. I was drawn to people who partied, went all the way through high school and college and graduate school, being very much a partier. And my third year graduate school, getting my doctorate, I hit a bottom with using and got into recovery. I was 25 and left school after my master's. And
were you married at that point?
I was not, but I had just met my now husband. And started a whole nother graduate school of recovery. I mean, the real deal, right?
Your PhD.
Yeah. I went to Al-Anon religiously. I went to ACA. I went to AA. And I've been sober 20 years now. So I've walked that journey, and I got married, and I have 2 natural children. This is new terminology for me.
Biological children.
Yeah, and last year we became legal guardians of another child, and so we've added to our family recently, which has been a whole journey, and one that I am completely open about and would love to talk about at some point, about integration with families and working with trauma, and what an amazing experience it's been. So yeah, I mean, let's see. I am always, actually, no, my 40s, I think I stopped searching for that belonging. I think I realized it's within myself. What is it Brene Brown says, or maybe Maya Angelou told Brene Brown, I'm not sure, but that we belong everywhere and nowhere.
Oh, that's,
wow, very profound.
I like that. I totally relate to that.
Yeah, me too. It really hit me, that quote, because you always feel like if you really walk into some sense of belonging, like you'll know, like you've arrived, like you really belong here, but really it's not tangible. It's not a tangible thing, and it's really within. And I found that throughout my 40s. Like that's what I've really been focusing on, is just being okay with me and belonging to me.
Wherever you are, whatever phase.
I am. am. And it's definitely been such a grounding 5 years now that I'm 45, right? I'm 45, 46.
45.
You're about
Yeah,
to be
45.
46.
Well, I'm about to be 46.
Heather's already 46, so.
I don't appreciate that.
Anyway.
But you wouldn't know it because I get Botox. That's for a different day.
Well, me too.
Who don't?
Right?
Mine's about to expire.
Yeah.
Yours is on its tail end.
How's mine? Is mine moving?
No. Good job.
Thanks.
I need a little
Still looks
bit.
natural.
Yeah.
My gal keeps me with a little bit because she says,
Yeah.
your job is to look mad, so you need to kind of have a little bit. I want to say something on that little quote you were talking about. I feel that so much. Like
I do.
I always feel like I could move anywhere. I could go to any city. Like I feel like I'm this wanderer, like sort of black sheep vagabond kind of thing. But yet I still feel settled, but unsettled everywhere I go. It is the weirdest feeling, but that really resonated with me when you said that. And I feel like with your story, Jen, like one thing that I just felt so connected with you from the very first time I met you because you shared your story with me and you made me feel like very much less alone with my mom. And even just by saying I dealt with the very same thing. I know how you're feeling. And even being able to say to another woman, I know how you feel. It's okay. That is so huge. And I think once again, just such an undercurrent of the whole reason we're here on this society. And man, I know y'all feel the same way because we talk about it all the time, but I want these gals to know, like, we have so much vision for this group. We are
Excitement.
I
So
know.
much
Oh my
excitement.
gosh.
Excitement. We have like goals. Like this house Jen lives in is my house goal, but I have like society goals for us gals, and we are going to get into that. But one thing that I will tell you is that some of these subjects that we discuss, I mean, gosh, you both just opened up a ton of topics in your own stories as you're just talking, but we are going to offer more extended workshops on some of these topics as we go along, because there's just a need. I mean, you can't cover everything in a few days, so we are going to be offering those along the way. And then hopefully, I mean, should I say it right now? I guess
don't know
it's
what you
safe,
wanna
but,
say.
but hopefully, our goal is we want to hold a conference so that we can all meet. We're doing it. We are doing it. We're going to have a conference to where we can all get together in the same room and love on each other and hear stories and hug necks, because we are all making connections. And I even saw women making connections. Last week, we talked about grief.
Oh, wow. That was a powerful
That
week.
was very powerful.
Right?
It was amazing.
Because we all have grief stories, right? I mean, we've all grieved something
So much.
so much, not just death,
Oh,
No.
divorce. Children moving out of the home.
life as we once knew it,
Life. Yeah.
so many things.
Aging.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't even know that we hit on that one last week unless
I don't think we did.
aging.
Did we?
I grieve it. I grieve the legs I had when I was 18. They were to die for. And now I'm just carrying around a sack full of doorknobs. But, I mean, it is what it is. We're not getting any younger. I mean, we're trying. My husband's behind the camera laughing. He's got his hand over his mouth. It's the truth, right, babe?
I think
No,
we...
thank you. Good answer.
No. I think we all grieve our 20-year-old bodies. Mine was, you
Jen
always...
don't. She still got. She hung on to hers.
Girl, let me
Facts.
tell you.
Facts.
How do you
It
do
is
that?
not the same. Okay.
But one of the biggest things I think that I know I've experienced is grieving, like, I put up with things too long.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
I grieve the...
Lost time, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think anything you lose, like
The
financially,
loss of a dream.
right? Or,
that's good.
that reality you thought was going to happen and it didn't. Or starting
Or it
over.
did, and it's not what you thought.
Or it did. Or you get to a certain spot materialistically, financially, house dreams, and then that goes away. And so you're grieving having to start over from
Yes.
scratch. And there's this duality, like it's grief, but it's pride. Like, I'm proud of the things I've done in my 40s, but it's still like, man, dang, like, dang.
But
It's grieving.
Is there a strategy? You two, y'all are educated. I have my associate's degree. So I have a lot of life experience. Okay, that's what I have. But is there a strategy? Are there tools for pushing through grief? Maybe, getting to a place where you can have this positive outlook on, what? My son may have moved out. My son's sitting right here, actually, and he moved out a few months ago, and it was hard. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to cry because I'm a comedian, but I had a hard time, and I had to paint his room the week after he moved out.
Right.
I painted it because I couldn't handle it, but I would give anything if there was, a book on it, or I know there's a lot of books on grief, but if there was a formula or something. But, is there a way that we can change our minds to looking forward to the future? I mean, I am genuinely asking, but I don't know.
I mean, genuinely, the only thing that I have found personally in my own life and seen with other people that are deeply grieving, whatever it is you have to emote. Emotion. It's emotion in motion. You have to move it through, right? You can't just sit.
You got to feel it.
You've got to feel it. So painting, writing, talking, these are all things that are emoting.
Crying.
Yes, that's one.
Whatever you got to do.
That's absolutely. But moving it,
not
letting
pushing
it move
it down
through you, not pushing it, resisting it, whatever you resist will persist.
Because it's
right?
coming out eventually,
it's
right?
It's going to come out
in some way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's true with anything, not even just grief.
Yeah.
If you're pushing down emotions for whatever situation you're in, it's going to come out
Right.
in ways that aren't healthy if you're not working on yourself. And I don't think there's a formula for grief, but I think authenticity and being vulnerable and being willing to sit in it and walk through it, like you just said, like, you have to feel it. And that is what sucks so bad about it.
Yeah,
Everybody wants a quick fix, like you. Where's my formula?
Dude, where's my Botox for this?
Right.
My grief Botox.
And I think that is a hard reality for people when it comes to when they start going through stuff like that, because you're like, it's work. That's the formula.
It is work.
And
they're even sitting in what am I grieving about? I'm grieving, for me, last year I really grieved the reality of what was happening in my family, the loss of what I pictured, the loss of what I wanted, and then having to sit in the reality of this is what it really is. This is what's happening. This is what's happening in my life. But being able to vocalize that, I agree. It took me getting out my emotions to work through it. But man, y'all both know this because y'all walked through it with me. That was like a year of grief that I went through, of the loss of what I thought my family was going to look like, and what I thought my family was going to be, and what I'd hoped for my mother, and what I'd hoped to get from my dad. And man, it was like emptiness, but also empowering at the same time to work through it and to be better on the other side. So worth it.
Well, and you, like, just when we were talking earlier, you have to recognize when you're making progress. We were just talking earlier, and you said, well, that's my trauma from childhood talking. And I was like, no, that's your progress talking. You've done so much work.
Yeah. I was angry about an issue, and I said, maybe I'm angry because maybe that's just my childhood trauma. She said, no, it's good. You're finally standing up for yourself, expressing your emotions. That's a good thing. That is progress. And to me, that's worth all the money I spent on counseling to be able to get to that place to where, now I'll probably go through another situation later where I do need constant counseling again. But right now I'm in a good spot because I've done gut-wrenching work for years to get to a decent brain space until something else happens.
Well, and you realize that work is never done.
Oh.
You don't get through grief. Like, my dad passed 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, and I know that I didn't grieve then. I was still drinking. I was still drinking and was thrown into this chaotic whirlwind because he died. My ex had filed for divorce. I had to leave my daughter. Like all these things happened. So I didn't get to grieve him. And then years later, like on this past October, his, 4-year anniversary of being gone, I cried more then than I cried when he died. So it comes in such phases and stages that you never fully get through it. It's just like, constant work.
Like Pam said, right? Like, didn't she say, I won't ever heal from this?
Right.
But, I will keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
There's this book that I just learned about. It's called Deadwood. And Deadwood is part of a tree. It's the part that died. And the tree keeps growing around it.
Oh, wow.
But that never comes back to life. It just, the life keeps going around it, right? And the whole book is written about grief, basically, about how we keep building. Like the hole is not going to necessarily be filled.
Right.
But the life keeps growing around it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Really powerful.
Is that the name of it, Deadwood?
That is the name of it.
Didn't y'all love Pam coming on
love
and being so
Pam.
open?
She was
She
wonderful.
texted
Maybe
me-
it's called Birchwood. Okay, I'll get it.
Get back to us.
Wood and grief. Maybe if we
Something. I'll
Google
help you
this.
out there. I'll post it or something.
Okay, perfect. I felt like Pam texted me at 1:30 a.m. after we did the live that night, and she said, just finished responding to all the women who left comments. I know.
She was amazing.
But once again, that's what we're doing here. We're forging a sisterhood and community and scooping each other up. Non-judgmental. That's our biggest. That's our biggest thing here with society is you can't even be a part of this if you're going to come on here and cause strife and contention. You have to love your sisters where they're at.
Right.
Period. No questions asked. That's the whole point of this and forging new friendships. And on that note, we just wrapped our friendship week. I feel like I've watched a lot of women along the way. At the very beginning, we told these gals, if you're in a great spot in your life, can you love on some of these women who are struggling? And I've watched them do that. And I've watched friendships be formed. And that to me is everything. But we've had a lot of gals that I noticed, and so did you too, notice a lot of women say, I don't have any friends. I never can make friends. I'm really struggling. I put myself out there and then I get crapped on or whatever. Can you guys speak into that, Jen? I know you actually kind of hit on betrayal, and Ashley talked about sobriety and friendships. But what do you have from experience, something you'd like to share about that to these women who say they, can't make friends, or some kind of advice?
I mean, firstly, I just think this is such a big topic that women don't actually spend a lot of time talking about, but we just expect ourselves to have so many friends and be part of friendships. And,
that's a
and
good point.
especially as we get older, we're kind of thrown, at school, it's kind of built in for us. And then if you have children, you kind of get a built-in community with other moms that have similar ages, whether you like them or not. And as you get older and your kids get older and you're not planning everything for them and all that stuff, it hits another level of how do you do that? How do you continue to meet new people? And I do feel there have been times in my life where I was just I don't know if I have any energy for friendships. I mean, I'm just, I don't know if I can do it. But that's really not an option for me. I never really entertained that, because friendships to me are part of my support system. They're part of my self-care. They're part of what stretches me and helps me grow. And the bonding with women you'll hear every woman say it. Going on a girls' trip, there's nothing like it.
Nothing. And did you read that article I sent you the other day? My cousin Jennifer had shared on Facebook an article about friendships and how that it was so interesting about how they are the most important relationships in your life.
I
over
agree.
Marriage.
Yeah.
And over most anything. I don't know what it said about kids, but that your girlfriends, your friendships are the most important.
But even just having
agree
one
with that.
close friend is
Yeah.
is enough. I mean, I think we all just talked about this. We were in Jen's closet getting ready. You know, the older we've gotten, you know, it's okay if our circles get smaller. It's okay if we have different requirements of friendships in our lives because
that's how
we're
it's supposed
different.
to happen.
But
Right.
if you are struggling to make friends, like, is there, you know, are there tools there? Or because, you know, my tendency is I've really been challenged over the last few years. A good friend of mine actually read an article years ago about, or maybe she heard somebody talking about how it's important to ask your friends questions and engage with them and make sure you're not the only one talking about yourself. And I've really taken that to heart, and I try to do better on that. But you know, is there betrayal is such a big issue for women, and it's real. We have been betrayed. Maybe all of us have in friendships. So maybe, you know, it's true that some of us have walls up. Maybe that's why we're not making
Sure.
And I know
friends.
the times in my life where I've had walls up, I don't meet new people.
Right.
I mean, whatever energetically is happening, I am my body language.
even if
the
you
way-
want to meet new people.
Even
you
if
know?
I'm saying I'm open, if there's a
not
wall
open.
up, I am
Right.
blocking
Mm-hmm.
that energy. I know that, like, when I give it over, or I give it to the universe, like, I really am open, things start happening. I
You're right
start
about that.
engaging. It takes a risk. I have to engage with people that I don't know. That's scary.
It is scary.
You know?
And you won't engage if you're not in a healthy place.
Or,
you know,
you might.
the right friendships.
Yeah.
But like,
Right.
I know that in my history, I've had great friends. I still do, but my circle has shrunk. But after I got sober, the people pleasing stopped because it's about accountability. Like, you're held to the fire
Yeah.
in every aspect of your life. And, you know, through the divorce and custody stuff, like, my whole life became about accountability, and my connections had to be deeper.
Yeah.
Had to be. I do love to with people, but I want to know that it's not going to be a superficial friendship.
Our
But that
friendship
takes
is
time, right, Ashley?
of
Like, I mean,
course. But I think maybe I meant, like, I'm going to match energy. I want to be your friend. I'm going to be a good friend, mindful and intentionally, but I'm only going to match what I get back.
Can I say?
and that's building intimacy. Like,
Right.
Like, I've had to learn that too. Like, I'll give a little and let's see what you do with it.
Right.
You know? And then next time I might give a little bit more. But that's not how I barreled into friendships in high school.
Right. Well,
That's not how we did it. You know,
I
it was
think
just
you
easy.
were like born into friendships in our
We were.
town. Like,
But I kept.
There were no
hung on to
preference.
you though, because
right.
you're my choice.
Of course you did.
I did. Hanging on to both of y'all.
Yep.
Love y'all. Love our friendship.
Love you.
Love our friendship with these gals. That's just going to continue. I want to encourage you girls to dig in. And, you know, we read these comments like every day.
every
We're
day.
in there. Our noses are in, you know, our computers, and we're reading. And I want you all to continue to form relationships. We are working on finding ways for you to do that through society within your own communities. That's coming. I'm speaking that in faith because we're still trying to figure that out. But we are here to help you girls form communities and forge really lasting friendships. We are here for that, and we hope that y'all really feel safe. It's really weird. Like, there's 22, I think, and a half thousand of us right now. It doesn't
Every day
feel
climbs.
that way to me.
No,
I feel
it
like
doesn't.
it's just, I'm just talking to y'all.
Right.
But
You're
I
just here in
do
the living
here.
room. But,
Yeah.
but the fact that you're new and already feel that way, I
Right.
think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Bring your friends.
Love it.
Join us. And I think we're going to be talking about some really great topics this coming month. And looking forward to hearing from you gals. We love y'all. Society.
Bye.
Bye, sisterhood. Love you, gals.
Love you.
Thanks. Thanks so much.